Jason thought he was just attending another wedding. Standing quietly among the guests, he watched the bride and groom exchange their sacred kiss. Then a woman's voice whispered close to his ear. "Stop watching the bride, eyes on me." He turned, frozen. It wasn't a stranger. It was Aria Montgomery, the CEO, his boss, the woman he saw only in boardrooms and quarterly meetings. Why would she say something like that? And from that moment, could a single dad's life ever go back to the way it was before? Jason Carter stood in front of his bedroom mirror that Saturday morning, adjusting his tie for the third time. The navy suit felt stiff. He hadn't worn it in months. Weddings weren't his thing anymore, not since his own had ended 3 years ago. But when an old friend invited him, he couldn't say no. It would be rude. He told himself he'd show up, congratulate the couple, and leave before anyone asked him to dance. His daughter was already at his mother's place. She'd begged to come along, but he explained that weddings were boring for kids. Really, he just didn't want to explain to strangers why he was raising a 6-year-old alone. Those conversations always ended with pity or judgment, and he was tired of both. He grabbed his keys and headed out the door. The venue was an old estate on the edge of town, the kind with tall windows and manicured gardens. Jason parked in the back lot and walked toward the entrance, blending into the crowd of well-dressed guests. He recognized a few faces from college, people he hadn't spoken to in years. They waved. He waved back. Small talk would come later. For now, he just wanted to find a quiet corner and wait for the ceremony to start. Inside, the hall was already filling up. White chairs lined both sides of a long aisle, and soft music played from somewhere he couldn't see. Jason took a seat near the back, close to the exit. He wasn't trying to be antisocial. He just preferred the margins. It was easier that way. Less attention, less explaining. He checked his watch. 10 minutes until the ceremony began. Then he saw her. Aria Montgomery walked through the main entrance like she owned the place. Maybe she did. Jason wouldn't have been surprised. She wore a black evening gown that moved like water, elegant and sharp at the same time. Her dark hair was pulled back, revealing a face he'd only seen behind conference tables and laptop screens. She looked different here. Softer, maybe. Or maybe it was just the lighting. Jason's stomach tightened. He hadn't expected to see his boss at a wedding. Montgomery Media was a big company, sure, but not so big that the CEO showed up to random social events. Then again, maybe the groom worked there once. Jason didn't keep track of everyone's history. He sank a little lower in his seat, hoping she wouldn't notice him. The last thing he needed was an awkward conversation about work while people were celebrating love. Aria glanced around the room, greeting a few guests with polite nods. For a moment, her eyes swept over the back rows. Jason looked down at his phone, pretending to read a text. When he looked up again, she was gone, disappeared into the VIP section near the front. He exhaled. Close call. The ceremony started on time. The groom walked down the aisle first, grinning like he'd won the lottery. Then the bride appeared, glowing in white lace, holding her father's arm. Everyone stood. Jason stood too, though his mind was somewhere else. He wasn't thinking about the bride. He was thinking about his ex-wife, about the promises they'd made and broken, about the custody arrangements and the quiet nights when his daughter asked why mommy didn't live with them anymore. The officiant spoke about love and commitment, about choosing each other every day. Jason heard the words, but didn't feel them. He'd heard them before. They hadn't saved his marriage. When the couple kissed, the crowd erupted in applause. Jason clapped too, but his hands felt mechanical. He was ready to leave. Then he heard it. A voice, low and clear, just behind his left ear. "Stop watching the bride. Eyes on me." Jason's heart jumped. He spun around, nearly knocking into the person next to him. Aria Montgomery stood directly behind him, close enough that he could smell her perfume. She was smiling, but not the polite smile she used in meetings. This one was different, playful, almost mischievous. He opened his mouth to say something, anything, but nothing came out. She didn't wait for a response. She stepped around him and walked toward the front of the hall, her gown trailing behind her like a shadow. Jason stood there, frozen, while everyone else began filing out for the reception. His mind was blank. Had she really just said that? Or had he imagined it? He replayed the moment in his head. Her voice, her smile, the way she looked at him. No, she definitely said it. The reception was held in the garden, under a canopy of string lights and paper lanterns. Tables were arranged around a small dance floor, and waiters moved through the crowd with trays of champagne. Jason found a seat at a table in the corner, far from the main action. He needed to think. He needed to process what had just happened. But every time he tried to focus, his eyes drifted across the garden, searching for her. Arya was at the head table, laughing at something the groom's father said. She looked completely at ease, like she belonged there. Jason, on the other hand, felt like he was trespassing. He didn't know anyone at his table. They introduced themselves, but he forgot their names immediately. His mind kept circling back to that one sentence. Stop watching the bride. Eyes on me. What did it mean? Was it a joke, a test, or something else entirely? Jason wasn't the kind of guy women noticed. He was average height, average build. With a receding hairline he'd stopped worrying about. He worked hard, kept his head down, and went home to his daughter every night. He wasn't the type to catch the attention of someone like Arya Montgomery. But she'd said it, and she'd smiled. Dinner was served, but Jason barely touched his plate. He watched the crowd, watched the couple dance their first dance, watched Arya excuse herself from the head table and disappear into the main building. He told himself he should leave. This was getting weird. He didn't belong here. But something kept him in his seat. Curiosity, maybe. Or hope. He wasn't sure which. An hour passed. Jason considered sneaking out through the side gate. He could text his friend later with an excuse. Headache. Emergency at home. Something believable. He stood up, ready to make his exit. Then Arya appeared in front of him. She walked up to his table like she'd been looking for him. The noise of the reception faded into background static. Jason's pulse quickened. She stopped a few feet away, her expression unreadable. "You're leaving already?" she asked. Jason cleared his throat. His voice came out rougher than he intended. "Yeah, I wasn't planning to stay long." Arya tilted her head slightly, studying him. "You didn't even congratulate me." Jason blinked. Congratulate her? For what? He didn't understand. She wasn't the bride. She wasn't even related to the couple as far as he knew. He must have looked confused because she smiled again, that same playful smile from before. Congratulate me for finally saying something I've wanted to say for a long time. Jason's brain scrambled for a response. He felt like he was missing half the conversation. Arya took a step closer, close enough that he could see the faint shimmer of her eyeshadow. "I meant what I said during the ceremony," she continued. Her voice was softer now, almost vulnerable. "I wanted your eyes on me, not on some bride you don't even know." Jason stared at her. Words failed him completely. This didn't make sense. She was his boss. She was successful, confident, untouchable. And he was just a guy trying to keep his life together. There had to be a mistake. Arya seemed to read his thoughts. She let out a small breath, almost like a laugh. "I know this is strange. Trust me, I didn't plan it. But when I saw you standing there, looking so lost, I couldn't help myself." Jason finally found his voice. "Why?" It was the only word he could manage. Arya looked at him for a long moment, her expression shifting into something more serious. "Because you are the only person in that entire company who treats me like a human being. Not a title, not a boss, just me. She stepped back, giving him space. Anyway, I just wanted you to know. I'm not expecting anything. I just thought you should hear it. Before Jason could respond, she turned and walked away, disappearing back into the crowd. He stood there, rooted to the spot, trying to make sense of what had just happened. His hands were shaking. His chest felt tight. He didn't know if he was terrified or exhilarated. Maybe both. He left the reception 10 minutes later, but he didn't go straight home. He drove around the city for an hour, replaying the conversation in his head. Aria Montgomery had feelings for him, his boss. The woman who controlled the entire direction of Montgomery Media, the woman who could fire him with a single email. She'd just confessed that she noticed him, that she cared. Jason pulled into his driveway and sat in the car, staring at the darkened windows of his house. His life had been simple, predictable, safe. And now, in the span of a single evening, everything had shifted. He didn't know what to do. He didn't know if he should do anything. But one thing was certain. He couldn't stop thinking about her. Monday morning arrived faster than Jason wanted. He sat in his car in the parking garage beneath Montgomery Media, gripping the steering wheel like it might steady him. The weekend had been a blur of overthinking. He'd replayed the wedding 100 times, dissecting every word Aria had said, every look she'd given him. By Sunday night, he'd convinced himself it had all been some strange misunderstanding. Maybe she'd had too much champagne. Maybe he'd misheard her. But when he walked into the office and saw her assistant waiting by the elevator, clipboard in hand, that hope evaporated. "Mr. Carter, Miss Montgomery would like to see you in her office. 10 o'clock. Jason nodded, trying to keep his expression neutral. The assistant walked away, leaving him standing in the lobby with his heart racing. 10 o'clock. That gave him 30 minutes to pull himself together. He took the stairs to his floor instead of the elevator, needing the extra time to think. His desk was exactly as he'd left it Friday afternoon. Unfinished mock-ups for a client presentation. Coffee mug with a faint ring at the bottom. A framed photo of his daughter at the zoo, grinning with an ice cream cone. He sat down and stared at his computer screen without turning it on. Around him, his co-workers were already deep in conversation, complaining about their weekends or comparing notes on some new project. No one seemed to notice that Jason was unraveling. At 9:58, he stood up and walked to the executive floor. The hallway was quieter up here, carpeted and lined with abstract paintings that probably cost more than his car. Aria's office was at the end, behind frosted glass doors. Jason knocked twice. Her voice came through clearly. "Come in." He stepped inside. The office was larger than he remembered, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Aria sat behind her desk, focused on her laptop. She glanced up when he entered, and for a split second, something flickered across her face. Recognition, maybe relief. Then it was gone, replaced by her usual professional mask. "Jason, thank you for coming up. I wanted to get your input on the campaign we're pitching next week." She gestured to the chair across from her. Jason sat down, confused. A campaign? Was that really why she'd called him here? He waited for her to bring up the wedding, to acknowledge what had happened, but she didn't. She pulled up a presentation on her screen and started walking him through it, pointing out areas where she thought the messaging could be stronger. Jason tried to focus. He gave his opinions where he could, suggested a few changes to the visuals, but his mind was somewhere else entirely. He kept glancing at her, searching for some sign that this wasn't just business. She remained composed, asking questions, taking notes. It was like the wedding had never happened. 20 minutes later, she thanked him for his time and told him he could go. Jason stood, feeling more confused than when he'd arrived. He was halfway to the door when she spoke again. "Jason." He turned. Aria was looking at him now, really looking at him. The professional mask slipped just enough for him to see the person underneath. "I meant what I said Saturday night. I wasn't joking.